Hello and welcome to our second episode of After the Movie. And here we're actually joined by Dane.
Hello.
Hey Dane, how's the new car?
Oh, she's great. She's wonderful. Love it.
So
got a name for it and everything.
We missed Dane last time because of the new car. We're also joined by Quinn.
Hello.
And his fancy new microphone he's using for the first time this episode.
Super fancy. I hope I sound very good.
Speaking of new microphones, Martin also has one.
No, I don't.
No.
But hello. No, same microphone, Martin. That's what they call me. Here I
am. 40 years on the radio, same microphone.
That's right. It's a record.
And last but not least, we have Beggs.
Who disappeared?
Maybe.
Is that all my fault there, boys?
Yeah.
You disappeared for a second, and now you're back with a confused look when you got introduced.
That's perfect. Hello.
All right, as previously discussed, today we're going to be talking about Moonstruck.
I think this is going to be pretty quick, right? I mean, I think this might be the shortest podcast ever. This was just a terrible film, and we can all agree that and move on with our lives, right?
Quinn, I'm a little confused. I thought you'd have a lot to say about how your mom never told you she was in Moonstruck. I don't
know. I watched this film with my mother because I'm a grown adult who did such a thing, and I did hear quite a bit about how she looked like, Cher in Moonstruck. But, I'm kind of like Cher in Moonstruck, too. So, I kind of look like Cher in Moonstruck. The whole family does.
I thought the belligerent kind of like yelling at people all the time also reminded me of your mother. Not in a mean way. I just mean she always does kind of yell at you like to eat chicken salad or things like that. I don't know.
Oh, what's this disrespect?
What's that?
I said, no, Mike, we get it. You hate our mom. It's fine.
All right, as long as that's out. So I thought Moonstruck was decent. Is there what's the protocol for reviews here?
We don't have one. We also failed to develop a protocol for picking the next movie, too.
Wait, isn't it just going to be a Nicolas Cage movie? I thought
we had the foolproof plan of just picking an actor.
We don't need to be on Team Bale.
Quinn, I've never seen you just look more distraught than hearing that we're going to be watching another Nicolas Cage movie.
Nick Cage did such an awful job on this movie. It was some of the worst acting imaginable.
My hands! She took my job!
Oh, yeah, well, I'm a wolf, and I'm going to look like this. Oh. And...
Because I love you.
There's no emotion in this film. It's all just blank looks of people. The only person who was good was Olympia Dukakis, the mom in the film. She was the only decent actor in the whole thing. That and the guy who played the mob guy from The Professional.
Which is also my vote for our next movie.
But yeah, how can you say that Cher didn't do a great job?
Your mom was
Cher
fantastic.
absolutely did a great job.
She won an Oscar.
She won the Oscar that year for that one.
The way that Cher just dead face, just stared at the camera every chance that she got just to coldly deliver her lines was fantastic. She deserved this. Cher getting the Oscar for Moonstruck is worse than Marissa Tomei getting it for My Cousin Vinny. It's ridiculous.
Hey, now, you don't talk bad about Marissa Tomei in that movie. She did awesome. With that freaking Harley Quinn, New York just accent. That was way over the top. She did amazing in that movie.
It is way over the top. That's the problem with it. But we're not reviewing My Cousin Vinny.
Right.
If I could just change channels to My Cousin Vinny, I didn't say a thing bad about My Cousin Vinny.
I think Cher tries extremely hard to keep convincing herself throughout the entire movie that she's supposed to be Italian, which I thought to be the most interesting part of her acting.
honest to God, as I was watching this movie, I really thought to myself, just like, I don't think I'm Italian enough to be watching this movie. Like I don't understand like half the shit they're talking about, and like
there's nothing Italian. I am Italian, and I didn't understand this movie. It wasn't very Italian.
What about Der Fluke? It had Der Fluke in it.
It did. I was just about to bring that up. I'm happy you brought that up, Martin. It did have a curse. For people who don't know, I'm a dumb guy, as I said before. I have dyslexia, and I suffered pretty badly from it. But I also, when I was, I think, around 11, me and Alex were working at a gypsy's house, removing stuff from the garage, when they told us to get rid of some spray paint cans, and I accidentally turned it upside down and was trying to get rid of the paint, which you do for environmental reasons. And the lady got super mad and yelled at me, and she subsequently put a gypsy love curse on me for my whole life, and
I feel like I should clarify a couple things.
Everything.
I feel like I should clarify a couple things, and that is, one, they identified themselves as gypsies, so this isn't some kind of slur. and
we're about to get demonetized now for this.
This is self-identified. We're going with what they told us. And two, it wasn't for environmental reasons. They told Quinn to check the paint to see if it was still good, and he sprayed it upside down, thus ruining the paint.
I see, yeah. That's why I got the gypsy curse, and you didn't. I got you.
That's right. Der Fluke wouldn't have happened otherwise.
Yeah, we call it Der Fluke because Der Fluke is German for the curse. It's an affliction that I have. I think it's actually the cause of the pandemic currently. I'm talking to a girl, and we met in October, and we're supposed to hang out, but now we can't hang out because of this pandemic. And I think just maybe it's my fault. So I'm sorry to everybody. COVID-19. It's the gypsy love curse.
Well, maybe this will add to the suspense of the relationship, though.
Good.
Good, yeah. I mean, you're facing death every day. But the old lady in the movie, Moonstruck, did put a curse on the plane.
She did.
Even though it wasn't a real curse because it wasn't a gypsy curse.
It did absolutely nothing for the entire movie. Like, I kind of wonder, like, why it was even thrown in there.
I agree.
Because she's cursed. That's why. She never had a good marriage, and she actually does believe in curses, and that's the whole thing. I don't believe in curses. She does. She lives superstitiously.
But what does it do to advance the plot?
No, it's the character development, Mo. She's in denial. She denies it to everyone's face, but she actually does believe in it, so she can't be true to herself.
Martin, I'm sorry I got so pissy.
I was gonna say he came at you pretty hard right there, Martin. Damn.
It's fine. I always have to around Mo. It's fine. I gotta stick to it.
Went off little
half cocked.
You got my blood boiling so much I can't even talk.
He's about to put a gypsy curse on me now. Well, check this out.
That's not funny. You don't want a gypsy curse.
It's an Italian curse.
So she wasn't able. Loretta wasn't able to like come clean with her own self until she finally met Ronnie. Is that where you're trying to go with this?
She had to disprove the curse. She broke the curse. That's what happened.
She broke the curse by
acting like a whore.
By living her true self. By being a whore. Correct.
I thought she was just attracted to him because he was a disheveled, coal shoveling bread oven operator with an incomprehensible accent.
That's why you're attracted to him.
But Titanic taught us that as well, you know. I mean, Leo DiCaprio, anyone shoveling coal is going to be, you know, the guy you go for.
Yeah.
I mean, John Voight in Zoolander, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely.
Never seen Zoolander.
Yeah, I haven't seen Zoolander either.
That's a good point.
Okay, that needs to go on the list. That needs to be a movie that you guys.
Even though if we're just suggesting new films because Moonstruck was so terrible, I want the Indomitable Dr. Fives.
And I don't think
I've never even heard of that.
And there's a good reason.
Never heard of it.
It's way better than Moonstruck. I'll tell you that right now.
Like, after like I honestly I was sitting here in quarantine watching the Moonstruck on my phone, and there were times when Nicolas Cage is acting or overacting or not acting, whatever you want to call it, absolutely had me in stitches.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I have not laughed so heartily and so thoroughly as when I was watching him, like the entire introduction with him and the female coworker of his, and how she was just like, "Oh, I love him so much, but he has no idea," and just,
I love it, this man.
the pure cheese and melodrama to this whole thing was just the most mesmerizing thing about this movie. I absolutely kind of loved that.
I think they tried to
Agreed.
make it almost like
Agreed.
an allegory with like him wanting to go to the opera, that this was somehow like an operatic story, but it didn't do anything. It
that really
wasn't
didn't pan
good.
out.
Well,
I
yeah,
can-
Cher didn't even sing.
Yeah.
What the hell?
You're absolutely right.
In the 90s, acting like opera is the end-all be-all of culture and sophistication.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
wish
true.
I could
Operas were
be
super
an
big in the
opera.
90s.
I
So-
feel like
Like
Okay.
the opera because you grew up in the 90s and you feel like, oh, that's how I really become a self-actualized person if I listen to the opera and I enjoy it.
I'm
It's
still
the pretty.
waiting.
It's called the Pretty Woman effect, scientifically speaking. That's what that's called.
Did they go to the opera in Pretty Woman?
I think he makes her. I haven't actually watched Pretty Woman, but I think he makes her listen to like an opera or something.
I'm with
Pretty
Quinn.
Woman is
I'm in the
so
same
yeah.
boat. Yeah.
Richard Gere would not let a prostitute that he meets go without listening to opera, and like,
Mhm.
oh, if she had just been exposed to like opera as a kid, she wouldn't be a prostitute. Like,
But Quinn, you realize that
Us.
we're hoping to reach an audience that may have actually viewed Pretty Woman, so maybe you shouldn't just go spouting
well,
off.
they'll like at me if I got Pretty Woman wrong, but I think I didn't. I think Richard Gere showed her an opera.
Well, so do you guys have any? I don't know if we can do this, but be all right. Do you guys have any memorable lines from this movie? Because I thought it was
He
chock
took
full
my job. He took my hand.
That's
Gets to marry his fiance. I don't have my fiance.
the thing that
Um,
really got Cher going, and me too, was the a bride without a head and a wolf without a foot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty
that
good.
leads right into just a fantastic dry humping scene with so much emotion.
Oh god. Clothes on, just completely not trying to make it seem realistic at all. I loved it. I'm so sick of these actual, naked love scenes. You don't need all those clothes off.
Nah,
Just
just
get
some real
weird.
good passionate necking and some,
That's right.
some dry humping every once in a while.
like
That's all
the
you
The
need.
90s, the
Richie
90s
cutting-
is all about dry humping.
Well,
Am
yeah,
I
it's like
wrong?
The late 80s, yes.
That's
I
why
just-
Mark
I-
doesn't have any kids. That's why Mark doesn't have any kids. He's all
So
about
how would that explain anything? I don't
Well,
get
it's
think-
probably good they didn't get naked though, because it was Mo and Quinn's mom in the movie. So
yes,
So I'm connecting some dots here. Everybody here in the group has seen Rushmore, of
yes,
course, right?
Yeah,
sort of.
Thanks, you have to.
kind of.
yeah. Martin doesn't remember it. He
Was there an
has,
with
opera in
kind
that?
of.
I don't think there was an opera. No.
Okay. All right.
However, there was a line that Jason Schwartzman gave right towards the beginning that was pretty much like beat for beat and like acting. It was acted the exact same way that Nicolas Cage said, which was almost the exact same line too. And I'm in love with you.
That was his face too, I think.
And it's great. It's great too because Jason Schwartzman is like very close family with Nicolas Cage. He's part of the Coppola family.
Is
yeah,
that right?
yeah.
By
He's
the way, I have to
Talia
make a
Shire.
correction. I have to make a correction. Nick Cage is Francis Ford Coppola's nephew, not his son. I misspoke.
Mhm.
One.
Yeah,
But his
Jason
real last
Schwartzman is
name is
Talia
Coppola.
Shire's. Yeah, kid.
Yeah,
I,
kid.
I still don't know who that person is.
Yeah. These connections mean nothing to me.
Oh man.
And that's why you
Just
didn't
did
like
nothing but-
Moonstruck.
You boys got any star ratings for this movie? What's your out of 10 scale?
Out of 10?
Why not just out of 5, Beggs?
All right, we can do 5.
All right, fine.
Can I do halves, or
Martin
does it
had
have
an
to be
8.
like a full digit there?
Yeah, halves are pretty. That's pretty nasty.
Okay.
Halves
Give it a
are
full
just
one.
10 scale.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to do halves, so we can just do 10 stars.
Right.
I was gonna do 10 personally, but I mean, if we're gonna go down to 5, then we'll do that.
It's all numbers. They all work out, guys.
All right.
All right.
Kick it off, Dan.
I would give Moonstruck personally a 3 out of 5.
Ooh.
Whoa.
It
that
was
is
it was very funny
That
in
is-
parts, and surprisingly, it was not the worst rom-com from the 80s that I've seen. I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but I know it's not
Better
the
Off
worst.
Dead.
Yeah, I've never seen Better Off Dead.
Oh yeah, great.
I don't think I know one either.
I don't either.
Three out of 5. That's what I think.
That's very generous, Dane, because this movie is garbage. And I will happily give it a half star.
Yeah.
Damn it, Mo.
No, I'm only going to give it 1.
Oh wow.
I think if
Well,
we're only doing it out of 5, then I have to give it, I think, a 2. And that's only because the ending made me laugh a couple of times. When all the loose ends were connected, I laughed a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I got to give it a 2, even though overall it was terrible.
Well,
Just
with-
awful.
with Dane's 3 out of 5 stars, that just confirms that he has a profound love for terrible films. But
Okay. All right.
But,
Okay.
the only reason I'm gonna rate it this way is because there was a little bit of a chance for the actors to have been pretty decent extras in Goodfellas, but that's about it. So I'm gonna give it a very generous
Not long in Goodfellas.
1 out of 5 stars.
What do you mean? I would have loved seeing John Mahoney in Goodfellas. Actually,
No, I said Nick Cage.
just to go off on a tangent for just a little bit, John Mahoney was the best actor out of everybody in the whole movie.
John Mahoney did a fine job. I think the mom was probably a little bit better, but John Mahoney was good.
Who's John Mahoney? Real quick.
He was the old man that kept getting his drinks thrown
He
at him.
was
at the restaurant.
fantastic. Oh,
He was great.
he was so good. Him alone. It's a 5-star movie.
John Mahoney is that good, yeah.
He's amazing.
They say that he was a jerk in real life.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Not
I believe
anymore,
it,
though.
too.
Yeah, well now
The jerking
dead,
up in
so
heaven.
we'll give. it'll be like the Green Mile. He's paid his debt. He's square with the house.
I like that.
Green
Martin,
Mile was
what's your
another
stars?
good suggestion. Yeah, what is your
Alright.
stars?
I don't like the star system because there's a lot of things I want to rate this movie on. If it's quality of a good film, it's a 1. But for likability of where's this gonna go and how obscene is this whole thing, it's a 5. It's so weird and fun. I really liked watching this movie, even though it's terrible.
So this is one of those so bad it's good movies to you?
Oh yeah, for sure. And
I
I
take all of those qualifiers, average them, and it's an overall star rating. That's how you rate it.
okay. I also love the character. I love the family dynamic in the movie. I thought that was great. I like the dogs.
You
I
should've
like
done
the
this
dogs.
one.
The dogs are definitely a 5.
That old man and his fucking dogs
John
the entire
Mahoney.
movie.
It was so good.
It
The guy-
was-
the
The
guy-
old Italian guy was great. The old Italian guy, the grandpa, he was fantastic.
I
Yeah.
met the old Italian guy in real life outside of an Italian grocer, straight out of a Scorsese film. And he walked up to the car. He's some old Italian guy. And I had our Great Dane in the back seat. And he goes, I used to train dogs. He says, they say dogs don't go to heaven. If they don't go to heaven, I want to go where they go. I want to go where they go. And then he just sauntered off.
Well,
So I give it a 3.
All right.
Attaboy.
Quinn, did
That's
you give us
awesome.
the stars?
Did I give it stars?
Yeah.
I gave it 2 stars.
I give it
Oh, yeah.
nothing. It got no.
Oh, what do I think it does? Oh, you asking me a question? Oh,
Hey.
I gave this movie a 2-star rating. That's what I think of it. What do you think of that?
Well, so did you guys? I don't want to move away from Moonstruck because it's very memorable. But did you guys want to attempt to use the pick an actor and go with one of their films they're in? I got one. I got one in mind, but go ahead.
If we're going with Nick Cage, which I would totally be okay with.
No.
I've already got an idea of one that I've been meaning to see for the longest time, and I think it would be an absolutely batshit crazy movie to watch, just based off what everyone else has been talking about on Rotten Tomatoes and other YouTube reviewers and shit. But if we're not about Nick Cage, I'll just save it for another time then.
What's your?
Well, no, say the title. Say the title of the film.
The movie is called Mandy, and it came out 2 years ago.
And you've been dying to see this Nick Cage film,
I've been meaning to see it because right before I left Japan, I spent a night over at a buddy's place when I was homeless, and he showed me the trailer for it. Dude, that shit looked absolutely wicked. Looked crazy. Looked wild. It looked amazing.
Is that
Mostly
the one where he does
because
like?
Nick Cage.
Is that the one that he does the What's the movie, the Nick Cage movie that he does the crazy eyes in? That you always see in like the memes and stuff.
Adaptation.
That was an early. That's an early one from like the 80s.
Okay.
Like we're talking. That one probably predates fucking Raising Arizona. Kind of early, like maybe even a little bit before or around the same time as Moonstruck was.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know the name of it.
Okay. Early Nick Cage, though.
Early Nick Cage.
Yeah, but Mandy came out in 2018, and that movie I've been wanting to see for a while. So
I was really expecting this to be old.
All right, we got one. Anybody else?
Everybody just laughed at me when I said The Abominable Dr. Five, so I think you guys are jerks.
Well, no, I said I don't know what that is. I've never heard of it before.
It sounds made up. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not
great. It's a horror cult classic. You boobs.
I think the main move to each one picks a movie. I think that might be the best way to resolve.
And
I think it'd be the most fair too.
It has to be someone, but we do have to do the character system where it's someone from that movie and.
I don't think necessarily.
You get emotion on the.
This is gonna be hard.
I think we're gonna need emotion.
I feel like we're just gonna end up watching Nick Cage again. I know it. That's all that's gonna
I think
happen.
Beggs has rigged this whole system so that it just keeps on being Nick Cage film.
He put these stumbling blocks in at the beginning, and now no one can get around them.
Well, I heard your guys' concerns with how the system was. So the thing that I wanted to suggest was moving away from Nick Cage and going with, who is this guy? Vincent Gardena. I think that was the dad, right?
Cosmo?
Cosmo, yeah. So he's in.
But memorable line. It's Cosmo's moon. There you go. There you go. I forget. Yeah, we talked about it today. I forgot about it.
No, I tried saying it on this episode of the podcast, but I don't think my mic's very good.
Oh, you said I didn't hear it. My bad.
So if we went with a Vincent Gardena, aka Cosmo film, we could satisfy Quinn's cult classic because he's in Little Shop of Horrors, and I have not seen that yet.
Ooh, I had to watch like all the versions of it when I was a part of the school play back in high school. So I've seen a whole bunch of them. I wouldn't mind watching another Little Shop of Horrors.
Jabba. But you weren't just a part, Dane. You were Steve Martin's part.
I was Steve Martin's part, motherfuckers. That's right.
I don't think I could stomach any other performance after seeing Dane perform it live.
Nothing lives up to it. No.
Yeah, Steve Martin.
God, not even Steve Martin.
I think everybody's agreed that Steve Martin's just a jerk and nobody likes, right? He doesn't have any goodwill.
I mean, he
got
was
such
a jerk.
serious
Yeah.
face.
Well,
He
no,
was a jerk way back
no,
in the day,
yeah,
but-
he wouldn't call us up and try and convince us otherwise. That's for sure when he hears this podcast. Is that what you
Steve,
got
are you
there?
listening? Are you listening, Steve?
Quinn is using this as a podium to talk about things he hates, one per episode. Steve Martin.
Is it real?
eBay.
Is it real? You really don't like Steve Martin?
No, I like Steve Martin.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm not in love with him, but I like him in something. I like him in Father of the Bride.
Have
And
you-
I wasn't a huge fan of Little Shop of Horrors, but I mean, I like him well enough in that.
Have you thought about being in love with him?
What about his banjo playing? You don't.
I
love
do
that?
like his band.
Yeah.
I like his banjo playing. He's a
There
nice.
you go.
He's in Mensa. He's a nice guy.
Mm.
Oh, he's a nerd.
He was
Oh, he's
Yeah.
great in Three Amigos.
30 Rock is great
Amigos.
in that.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, Automobiles.
Oh, that's the one. You're right. Thank you, Dane. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is great, and I love him in
Is-
that. I
I
really
love him in that too. And you can't forget The Jerk, an underrated classic.
Oh yeah, I like the jerk too, and he does the he does the
We're
ukulele.
kind of going down a rabbit hole. I think we should probably pull it back.
Pull it back.
All right, last
We
thing.
almost
love the-
picked the Steve Martin movie, though.
We almost. It was going that direction.
I really like the ukulele song in the jerk. That's the last thing I'm gonna say. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we could go with, excuse me, we could go with our typical yell at each other until we decide on something.
I mean, that's always
Agreed.
classic.
Or,
I feel like that's exactly what
agreed.
Beggs wants us to do.
It's good. That's usually how we get down to the bottom of stuff.
Mhm.
okay, so at the end of the podcast, we'll do a segment that we call the shouting match, and start trying to make a case for our movie.
I'm a big fan.
Okay.
So, are we to the
Are we
shout?
are we to that yet? Are we done with?
Are we ready to
no.
yell at each other?
Because hopefully our next movie will actually show some differentiation and opinion about this terrible movie. I mean, all we've got is Martin's strong dissent in the matter.
I said it was a 3-2.
Oh yeah, and Dane.
Yeah, but you weren't
Dane
as vocal
admitted that
about
it
your
was
love.
Well, yeah, Dane
I
said that it was.
thought it was
kinda bad.
good. It didn't pull me one way or another. I just thought it was all right. But you're right.
I disagree with that, but yeah.
It was a well executed, terrible movie.
Okay.
Moonstruck
Just
sucks.
let's
Moon?
for humor me. If we were to not do the shouting match at each other, right? And we were to try doing it, one person chooses and that's it each episode. What order would it be? How would we?
I think we need
how
a
would we
shouting
do it?
match to
Moonstruck
find that
is
out.
Martin's pick.
No, that was
No,
unanimous.
no.
You can't say
No.
that was mine.
Nope,
No,
that
we're
was
gonna give
yours.
it to Martin.
You brought it up.
Fine. Wait, no. Yeah, all right. No, it's good.
You can re-listen to it on Spotify, Martin.
There you go.
Oh yeah, check us out on Spotify and watch the videos on YouTube, which I believe we're going to start posting soon. But I didn't confirm that before we started this episode.
Sounds like you just did.
There we go.
Done. Committed.
But yeah, I don't know how we go about it next. I think if we're going to do this system, we should probably meet about it public or privately.
Well,
and
that
figure
does
it
us a
out
lot of good
about-
right now.
This
Well,
is
I
very
have a
this is
suggestion
very
for that.
private.
It's just us,
Just
just
the-
your friends.
Just the
We've only got two
Five.
minutes left, so make it quick.
Well, I would say-
suggest that since Dane didn't get to come in on the first episode because he's a boob, that he gets to pick the next movie.
Because he was a Johnny come lately, he gets to pick the next movie.
That's right. That's how it works.
Dane, I'm sorry,
Fine.
Martin hates you, but we
Fine.
all.
I'm fine with Dane picking the next movie, with the caveat that it shouldn't be Nick Cage.
I mean, I think it's fair for Dane to pick it. Minus, the thing is, sorry, Dane, I got to do it too. I really don't want Dane picking movies. 'Cause
I'm cool with you picking it as long as you don't actually get to pick it, Dan. That's fine.
You can pick it from my list of movies. That would be fine.
All right.
It should be
so
readily viewable, though. That's the thing too. It can't be
Can't be.
too obscure to where we can't find it.
So no Cowboy
Mhm.
Bebop. Doesn't work.
Whack. You finished that, by the way, Martin?
No.
We got less than a minute, boys.
Gotta get on it. All right.
Oh, look at that.
No Nick
Make
Cage.
this a good soundbite clip to end on.
No Nick Cage. Something that we want to. Let's see.
Little Shop of Horrors.
I think. Okay. If it's not going to be a Nick Cage movie, there's another one from the 70s I've wanted to watch. An old Robert Mitchum movie that I heard real good things about. And y'all like Robert Mitchum, right?
Remind me
Never
who he
heard
is.
of
The
him.
name is super familiar.
He was in Night of the Hunter, and he was Max Cady from the original Cape Fear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who that is.
The movie, okay, here's the choice. The movie is going to be The Friends of Eddie Coyle. Don't know a damn thing about it, but I hear it's great, and it's on.
Whistle for a cab when it came near. The lights place of freshness had dice in the mirror. If anything that I can say if this cab was rare, said, nah man, forget it, home to Bel Air. Pulled up to the house about 7 or 8 and yelled to the cabbie on. Smell you later, looked to my kingdom, I was finally there. Sitting on my throne at the Prince of Bel Air.